Your boy Zack has all but noped out of the culture war over the last few years. It's a really weird thing. His YouTube channel came to prominence because of articles like mine in The Federalist, which propped him up as a culture warrior to fight against the mainstream comic book industry. But he shies away from the actual battles a lot of the time. And of course, IDW is an interesting one because IDW hired Heather Antos, which is one of the key figures where your boy Zack got famous by talking about just how crazy it was that these companies were hiring her to espouse her feminism based on her looks and nothing much else compared to her talent. And then, of course, she keeps getting promoted upward in the industry as this is going on. Now, he's shied away from talking about things like that so much over the past few years. Your boy Zack really is like, I just want to be about comics and nothing else, and is trying to like present himself in this way, which is actually related to this tweet here and related to the aspirational nature of this industry, which colors his perspective and also colors this guy's perspective. So yes, IDW is failing as a company. They have laid off a ton of people. They're relegated to basically penny stocks at this point, as that they've been delisted from the New York Stock Exchange. And it's a terrible environment over that company. They've lost a lot of licenses over the last few years, and I imagine they're going to lose more coming up soon. Now, this guy here, Will Robson, is a artist from the UK who I guess got hired here. He says, it's official. I just signed the contract to write and draw my new creator-owned comic at IDW. I'm so excited for this and can't wait to share more details with you all. I can't say anything yet, but I'll be posting some teasers soon. This is June 1st, so this is 2 months ago. 2 months later, well, this sucks. My creator-owned book with IDW just got canceled midway through making it. I'm devastated. After spending years on a pitch, I'm truly gutted. This was a huge opportunity for me as a creator, and now it's gone. Guess I'm free if anyone wants to hire me. So this is an interesting sort of thing right here. So IDW picked up this comic, and then they just abandoned it. Now, Will Robson said the abandonment had nothing to do with the story or art in another tweet. But he also said that he wasn't sure legally what he could talk about or discuss on this. Now, if IDW already canned him, there's nothing legal that's going to hold him back from discussing anything. If they said, look, we can't afford to produce books anymore that are creator-owned books, which is probably the likelihood, then, he should not have any legally binding thing for that. He's gotten his book canned already. But, if he does go out and talk against IDW and say that they are struggling, he is going to get blacklisted from them. That's just kind of how it goes. Now, IDW, of course, is struggling. And of course, it doesn't pay or makes any sense for him to go to a company like IDW to produce his book. He's not going to make much money on it. If anything, that's just going to be how it goes. And IDW probably knows that a creator-owned book without an IP at this point is not going to get much promotion, with somebody who without a following is not going to do that well, and it probably will end up losing money. So they got to stop making things like that. It doesn't make sense for them. It's a rough time in their environment right now. The only way to do things and make money on this stuff is to do it yourself. We've done it over here for years with several different books. We've been making a great living selling our comic books. I hope you'll check those out. And I hope Will Robson will actually do the same thing and bring this property out on his own rather than try to look for somebody else to produce it. But the truth is, a lot of people cannot produce their own books because it does cost a lot to make art. And if you don't have a following, if you have not cultivated that, you're not going to make that kind of money back that a lot of other creators who have built that following will do. It's kind of a catch-22 because you got to have the book to build your following, yet you got to have the following to build your book. It's rough out there in the industry. Now, this ties into your boy Zack because your boy Zack used to go hard on the wokeites in the industry who are collapsing all this stuff and are hurting poor creators like Will Robson. I mean, he just spent 2 months of his life working on this, excited that he was finally going to be out with a mainstream publisher, whether it was going to make money or not. I'm sure it didn't matter. It's all about that sort of credential. And since he had that happening, he wasted a bunch of his time. He got his hopes up. It's gone now. It's a terrible thing. But your boy Zack stopped hitting on these people pretty hard. Not hitting on in that sense, but I mean, just really hammering the bad points of the woke in the industry and how it's destroying the comics, because he wanted to calm it down. At the end of the day, your boy Zack is suffering from the same thing. He wants somebody to pick up his books. That's why he went with Antarctic originally when he was coming out with Jawbreakers. He wants somebody and desires somebody to validate him as a publisher. So he doesn't have to do that. He just wants to be a writer for one of these companies. He'd love nothing more than to write for G.I. Joe or X-Men or something. And that's kind of the problem we all have in this industry is we've been taught by the comic industry that the important stuff is these IPs from the 60s, which is fan fiction of somebody else's work. Now, how could that be more important? How does that validate you more as a writer? How does that make you more of a creative? It doesn't. It just makes you a draftsman. It makes you somebody who's copying somebody else's work. And of course, just like making a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy is strictly going to be worse than the stuff that came before. It's just how the law of thermodynamics works. And so the whole system of clout that the industry has created actually creates a problem in creativity on the other end. And this whole mindset of needing to be validated by these companies is just based on a complete lie, just like everything else the woke espouse. Remember, the woke say that men who put on dresses are real women. The woke say that any sort of lifestyle is just as valid as a good Christian lifestyle. That's all false. It's patently false. They say that body positive is just as beautiful as somebody who's actually fit. Everything the woke say are false. And the same thing that it matters whether you write X-Men or write your own book about whatever you feel like. That is less valid when you do it than when they publish you. That's a false lie too. And that's what people need to start to learn in order to start overcoming things. So guys, this is a big thing for the Iron Age. I hope you share this video because aspiring creators need to know this. What you create yourself has more value than some fan fiction of Stan Lee's properties or Transformers or whatever it is you're working on at these companies. Your creations matter. Your creativity is the validation that you need. All right, leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.